Fashion is political, and it's the reflection of the societal shifts happening all around us. And if you've been paying attention to online trends, the signs of a Trump victory have been written on the walls for years. The internet has been quietly showcasing a return to conservative values, manifesting in everything from fashion trends to viral content creators. So let's talk about the rise of quiet luxury and the old money aesthetics. In 2020, we saw a lot of bright, colorful, and almost oversaturated fashion trends. Recently, the fashions have shifted to more muted and toned down looks. A lot of the creativity has been almost stripped out of the fashion landscape, mainly referring to the old money and quiet luxury trends. I feel like these trends in specific were the proverbial canaries in the coal mine. The need for us as working class people to want to emulate and cosplay the ruling wealthy 1% is honestly diabolical. We talk so much about eat the rich, but like after these trends, I couldn't really tell where people stood. People idolizing people like Sophia Richie and being like, oh, like she glowed up so much after she started dressing honestly quite boring. People also idolizing the characters from Succession and kind of putting that level of wealth on a pedestal. And for me, I honestly felt like, were we all watching the same show? Those characters were literally some of the most miserable people ever. These trends promote conformity, and people would rather be perceived as elite than an individual at this point. It was also super concerning to me that people wanted to be referred to as old money in general. In the US specifically, the concept of old money or having old money really goes hand in hand with your family having some dubious business practices way back when, specifically slavery. So to try and emulate this type of aesthetic or to try to be like these people is very, very concerning. And it made me feel like people were now like feeling like they were more free to want to be in the 1%, want to be more conservative. I've talked about this before, but I also feel like trends like the clean girl and old money online specifically are most typically represented by skinny white people. Even if it is subconscious, for this to be something that people are striving for kind of shows that they were also striving for that body type or that skin tone. I also want to discuss how we went from the body positivity movement to heroin chic and Ozempic culture. I feel like we were doing so well with being accepting of all different body types, and now I kind of feel like people are saying the quiet part out loud. They feel more emboldened to talk negatively about people's appearance or their size. The big back trend, people were saying, oh, you're a big back, and I feel like even a couple years ago that would just not have been like an acceptable thing to like call someone or to imply or to say as a joke, and that has just been all over the place. Not to be like that one friend that's too woke, but like there are people who like actually look like what you're making fun of, and I feel like the fact that that's become like just like normalized kind of shows that we were kind of shifting towards a more conservative culture, and people felt more emboldened to be like, yeah, that's actually what people should look like. And even a lot of celebrities that really were preaching body positivity, as soon as Ozempic became available, they abandoned every single like crumb of that sentiment. I also feel like, especially now, we are more in the era of signaling genetic advantage over social advantage. Before, we were more so concerned about, when it came to appearance, who could afford to get their hair done, who could afford to get their nails done, who had like the longest weave, who had like the cutest, like longest, craziest nails, who could get their body done, or who could get a BBL. And now people are more so concerned with what can be achieved naturally or what is more natural. And I feel like that's also more so conservative leaning, because when all those like extravagant looks were going on, a lot of conservatives were still like very minimal, very natural. There's more of a cultural shift towards that type of look now. Girls are going for shorter nails, shorter hair. We're not seeing like 30-inch weaves anymore. And now I feel like the sentiment is that it's more valuable to not need those things because you're natural. Like Kim K getting out her implants, and like the resurgence of of popularity in like that super skinny body. I also want to talk about these crazy TikTok trends. Like, are you boy pretty or girl pretty? Are you deer, bunny, jellyfish, cat, or dog? Do you have an angel skull or a witch skull? Or even the idea that aging is used to signify moral virtue. Like, oh, he was racist, that's why he's aging like that. Oh, she's non-problematic, that's why she still looks so good. I feel like we should not conflate people's moral virtue with how they look, because things like that could get out of hand fast. Even these TikTok trends are something called phrenology. This is a pseudoscience that basically says that certain characteristics like the shape of your skull, facial features, are indicative of your mental faculties or your character. These ideologies often assert the superiority of European features, and this was also something that Nazis and racists in the South used to justify the things that they were doing. And given that physical characteristics are often tied to race, it's just bad all around. And I don't want to hear any of that "it's not that deep" stuff, because it's not till it is.
So the point of this is to prime you. Extremists aren't gonna just throw you in the deep end. They're gonna, start inclusively. Like the diagram they use for angel skulls, it's pretty diverse. It's to make you say things like it has nothing to do with race. Like, it's a marketing tactic.
And I also want to talk about Gen Z's repackaged bigotry. I feel like we are typically known as one of the most progressive generations, like Gen Z so PC this, but I've noticed, and on TikTok especially, people are still mean. They still have these same ideologies we've been trying to get rid of and educate people on, but they repackage it under coded language. For example, bop meaning slut or whore, guys saying females to basically mean bitches, people saying acoustic to mean autistic. I already talked about the whole big back thing, which is basically just calling somebody fat without being able to be held accountable for calling somebody fat. And it's like you can't even really say anything about it, because then people are like, oh, you can't take a joke. I also want to discuss trad wives and the soft life fantasy. This trad wife trend is like conservatism final boss. I'm not really sure why this is a trend or why young women think that this is desirable. If anyone can recall, we did have trad wifery in the past, and there is a reason why women protested against it. It didn't work out. I think influencers like Nara Smith, although I believe her content is mainly satire, are kind of promoting this lifestyle, and not only that, but promoting it to a point where it looks desirable. Nara Smith does not show all the aspects of trad wifery and how much work it actually is. She mostly just capitalizes off the absurdity of cooking these ridiculous meals from scratch while wearing gorgeous designer gowns. I feel like prior to this, we used to prefer more down-to-earth creators that we could relate to, but now I'm feeling that a lot of our creators that we're watching are super wealthy or super aspirational, like the whole ballerina farm thing, which we also uncovered that she was a slave as well, and like idolizing wags or wives and girlfriends of sportsmen. Looking at the creators we exalt reflects what we as the general public see as admirable. A big part of why this trad wife culture or the stay-at-home mom and wife and girlfriend culture has become super popular and idealized is because women specifically are kind of feeling a fatigue when it comes to capitalism and having to work so hard just to meet our basic needs. But we need to realize that being a slave to a random man is not going to fix that. And I feel like we have strayed so far from the girl bossing of the early 2010s, and with these I'm just a girl or girl math or girl dinner trend, while I think it can be fun and cute as a trend, it's not everyone that's hearing it like like your little brother or your boyfriend that's gonna think that, oh, she's just joking. It's some people are gonna take us seriously. And I feel like to a certain extent, we are kind of infantilizing ourselves and undermining women's roles and abilities in modern society. I understand that life is hard, but like we can do hard things and it's okay. Like you'll be okay. Fashion is politics. Politics is fashion. And the online world has been quietly preparing us for a Trump victory all along. The next time a viral aesthetic takes over TikTok, remember, trends are never just about clothes. They are a mirror to our collective desires, ideologies, and anxieties. See you in the next one. Bye.